Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I'm continuing my look at some of the best and most interesting Pokemon from the video game 2017 format by looking at Tapu Koko, the most popular of the Alolan Guardians. Now, if we look online at the Pokemon Global link, we discover that it is the second most used Pokemon online. But if we look at some recent tournament results, this tells us a story even more. Over in Indianapolis at the North American International Championships, it was in 7 of the top 8 teams, and in Liverpool Regional shortly thereafter, it was in 5 of the top 8 teams. It really doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So if we start off looking at the base stats of Tapu Koko, the first thing that should jump out here is the speed of 130. If we look at properly competitive Pokemon, the only one up there with it is Aerodactyl, at again 130, and the only one that really beats it is Pheromosa, whose speed is frankly ridiculous. Although there are ways to beat it, for instance if you use Tailwind to double the speed of your party, an Alolan Raichu with his Surge Surfer ability which doubles its speed in electric terrain, or Golduck with Swift Swim ability doubling speed in rain, or for instance using Choice Scarf to boost your speed as well. In terms of attack and special attack, although attack is actually 20 points higher, Tapu Koko ends up being a special attacker, and the reason is very simple: all the best moves are special, not physical. Looking at natures, there really are only 2 natures we're particularly worried about here. 74% of the Tapu Kokos online are timid. This puts their speed up and their attack down. As we've said, we're a special attacker, so we don't mind attack being lowered, and putting speed up really is just to take advantage of how fast you are, building strength upon strength, meaning that you're only ever going to be outspared by those Pokemon using stuff like Choice Scarf or Swift Swim. 22.6% of them were modest, which puts your special attack up, meaning you hit harder, and puts your attack down. This means that you will be outsped by timid Tapu Kokos, but it means that you will be hitting a little bit harder and getting some KOs that timid Tapu Kokos won't be. In terms of weakness, you are hitting electric weakness on any flying or water Pokemon. So things like Pelipper, you're hitting 4 times weakness, Golduck, Celesteela, Mandibuzz, and of course, Gyarados. You're hitting 4 times weakness on Gyarados, as well as hitting weakness on Tapu Fini, which is seeing a bit of play at the moment. Tapu Koko is, however, also a Fairy type in addition to Electric, which means you're hitting Fairy weakness primarily here on Garchomp, but you are hitting any of these Fighting types or Dragon types, so also things like Flygon, Hariyama, Buzzwole, and Pheromosa, who all do see play. In terms of weakness, you've got double weakness to poison and to ground. 2 times weakness, not 4 times, that would be silly. Poison weakness, things like Nihilego, Alolan Muck, and Gengar, as well as being hit by random poison jab users like Garchomp and Buzzwole and Pheromosa. And for ground weakness, it's really Garchomp and his Earthquake you're worried about here. There's also ground users like Mudsdale and Gastrodon, but it really is Garchomp you're worried about. Now, of course, other Pokemon can use Earthquake, but remember, if a non-ground Pokemon uses Earthquake, they don't get that same type attack bonus, which gives you a boost in your attack power if the move and Pokemon are of the same type. And as a side note here, you are immune to Dragon, yay, due to being a Fairy type. But honestly, Dragon moves are not that popular at the moment. Some Garchomp have Dragon Claw. Sometimes you'll find a Salamence or a Drampa with Draco Meteor. There really aren't many Dragon types hitting for Dragon at the moment. Now, in terms of abilities, you've only actually got one choice at the moment. You've got to have Electric Surge. This means that when Tapu Koko comes in, you get Electric Terrain for 5 turns, and it means that grounded Pokemon cannot be put to sleep, and grounded Pokemon using electric moves are boosted by 50%. Pokemon that are not in contact with the ground don't get this. Now, the one downside really about Tapu Koko's speed here is that If Tapu Koko comes out along with some of the other Guardians, being the fastest, Tapu Koko's terrain will come out first, and if there's a Lele there as well, that terrain will come out second, and that will be the one that sticks. Now, electric terrain is great. It will boost your electric type attacks by 50%, but also it means that if there's a Smeargle using Spore, for instance, it cannot put Tapu Koko or your other Pokemon asleep. That's kind of fun. There is a hidden ability on Tapu Koko, Telepathy, which means that your partner Pokemon will not hit you with those moves that hit everyone. This would be quite useful for Garchomp. Of course, Garchomp uses Earthquake. It's a powerful move, but you're weak, so your own Garchomp will hit you a lot with Earthquake. A Tapu Koko with Telepathy would be able to partner with a Garchomp, but not get that friendly fire from your own Garchomp's Earthquake. I'm not convinced this is enough of a bonus to really be turning down Electric Surge, but it's irrelevant, because there's no way to actually get hidden ability Tapu Koko. It's not possible, so don't worry about it. In terms of items, there really are 3 that are above everything else. 33.8% of online Tapu Kokos use Life Orb. This will boost the power of your moves by 30%, roughly, but it means you will lose 10% of your HP after you use a damaging move. You use this if you want a fast, hard-hitting Tapu Koko. You're already fast, so use Life Orb to give you a bit of a boost in attack power, and it really is a bit of a glass cannon. You'll be hitting both hard and fast, but you won't be lasting very long. 25.2% of users use Electrium Z, which gives you the very powerful Gigavolt Havoc Z move. Now, this power varies depending on what move it's based off, but if you base it off Thunderbolt, you've got a base power of 175, 185 if Thunder, but that's not that accurate, more on that in a minute, 160 if Discharge or Electro Ball, and 140 if Volt Switch. Either way, a very powerful Z move. And 24.8% of them use Choice Specs, which will boost your special attack by 50%, but it means you can only use one move until you switch out. So kind of like Life Orb here, it's the same deal, you're being more powerful while being fast, but it means that the first move you select can only be used until you switch out. So you've got to be very careful about what that first move is. The only other one I really want to bring attention to here is Fairium Z, only used by 3.6% of people. It gives you Twinkle Tackle, which has a base power of 160 if you base it off Dazzling Gleam, and you will be, and really this is just good for taking out Garchomp. It allows a Z move hitting on Fairy weakness. Speaking of moves, there really are 4 that are above everything else. 94% of users use Dazzling Gleam, which is just the best fairy attack. Special, 80 power, 100 accuracy, and it hits all of your opponents, which is very handy. The largest used electric attack here is Thunderbolt, 82.2% of them, 90 power, 100 accuracy, it's just the best electric move. 67.4% of them use Protect, which just gives you invulnerability for a turn, although remember that Protect will not fully protect you against Z moves, and 59.1% of them use Volt Switch. This gives you 70 power but allows you to switch to another Pokemon if it does damage. So if you use this against an Alolan Marowak, who is invincible to electric moves, it won't actually allow you to switch. And this is a fun move in a Choice Spec set, because that way you don't need to use a second move, so you're absolutely fine. Now there are a couple of other moves which are quite interesting. 25.4% of players use Discharge, which is just kind of like Dazzling Gleam. It hits all of your opponents, but it's an electric move instead, and you do get a 30% chance of paralysis. 13.9% of users use Thunder, which is a very powerful attack with 110 base power, but it's only got an accuracy of 70 and a 30% chance of paralysis, which makes it really awkward to use. However, if you're using Pelipper, who brings the rain, it never misses in rain. So with a Pelipper team, there's no choice. Of course you're going to go for Thunder. 13.7% of users play it with hidden power, and there are 2 hidden powers you need, fire and ice. Long story short, this just gives you an attack of that particular type. Hidden power fire is really for Kartana, you hit 4 times weakness, and hidden power ice is really for Garchomp, 4 times weakness, and I've already said that Garchomp is a big threat. Now, the annoying thing about hidden power is that you need specific IVs, because hidden power is determined not by choice, but by the IVs that your Pokemon has. So here on the screen, you can see an example of the IV spreads you could use to make sure you get hidden power fire or hidden power ice. 9.2% of players use Skydrop. This is an interesting attack because it takes Tapu Koko off the field for a turn, meaning you can use Garchomp's Earthquake without hitting yourself. Why are you hitting yourself? You're not! And 9.2% of users use Taunt, which is good to stop things like Snorlax using Belly Drum, or anything like Porygon 2 using Trick Room. Speaking of Trick Room, 8.6% of users use Electro Ball, which does more power depending on the speed difference between you and the defending Pokemon. There's a table on the screen showing you how much damage it does. Against Trick Room sets, you should have a big difference in speed, so this is actually really good against them. Now, I have got some examples of sets for you here. Christopher Khan won the Indianapolis International Championships with this Tapu Koko, Timid, Electrium Z, and then Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Hidden Power, and Protect. Makes a little bit of sense. Paul Chua, who got second place in Indianapolis, was very much the same, except he dropped Hidden Power for Thunder. Again, Thunder's 70 accuracy is a slight problem. Sean Bannon, who got top 4 in Indy, went Timid, Life Orb, Thunderbolt, Roar, Dazzling Gleam and Protect. Roar forces your opponent to switch a Pokemon, for instance a Trick Room user before they get off Trick Room. So a little bit of a different set here, although interestingly not choosing to run Thunder despite the fact that he ran Pelipper to give him the rain. Of course, you can't always rely on having a Pelipper out. And Cesar Reyes, who also got top 4 in Indy, he played a Timid Tapu Koko with Choice Specs, and then Volt Switch, Discharge, Dazzling Gleam, and Electro Ball. Of course, being Choice Specs, you are locked into the first move you use, so you either use Volt Switch to just hit once and then switch out, or you can use Discharge or Dazzling Gleam, giving you a nice attack that hits both the defending Pokemon, either Electric with Discharge or Fairy with Dazzling Gleam. Now, in terms of EV spreads here, I found Paul Chua, he played Electrium Z and got second in Indianapolis, and Sean Bannon, who played Life Orb and got top 4 in Indianapolis. They've both got the exact same EV spreads. Maximum 252 special attack, and I know in my Snorlax video I said 244 was maximum, sorry about that, but I assure you 252 is. He's a special attacker. This means you do a lot of damage. Maximum 252 for speed. Again, you're building strength on strength, trying to make sure you're the fastest thing on the field. And 4 special defense to give yourself a tiny bit of bulk. I found a whole bunch of Tapu Koko sets online, ladies and gentlemen, and the vast majority had this exact same EV spread. I'm not saying it's the only viable one, but I am saying that the majority of competitive players choose to use this EV spread. And we're going to finish off looking at partners. I had a good friend told me I should finish looking at partners after I've explained all of the sets, and I think that's actually a better idea, so that's what we're doing. Arcanine, he's got Intimidate to lower your opponent's physical attack. It'll keep your Tapu Koko on the field a bit longer, and is a brilliant choice if you do use Volt Switch. Stick Arcanine up for a cheeky Intimidate. Garchomp is a popular partner. Do remember your own Earthquake will hurt you, but you can always use Rock Slide and Dazzling Gleam so that you're actually both using double damaging attacks. Yay! And don't forget you can always use Skydrop to avoid Garchomp's Earthquake. Kartana is just a really hard-hitting Pokemon. But being a grass type, it does mean that it covers your ground weakness a bit, because ground Pokemon are weak to grass, although Garchomp isn't, and he is the biggest problem. Celesteela is a bulky, slow Pokemon, so you pair it with Tapu Koko to have one fast, hard hitter, and one who sits there setting up. Porygon 2, really you use Tapu Koko to make way for Porygon 2 to use Trick Room. And of course, a lot of players will use Smeargle and Spore to put Porygon 2 asleep. To stop him getting a Trick Room off, Tapu Koko's Electric Terrain stops that happening. Pelipper brings the rain, which means your Thunder always hits. Snorlax, well, Tapu Koko helps Snorlax set up in the same way he helps Porygon 2. Tapu Lele is a good partner, but the problem is Tapu Lele will bring Psychic Terrain in and override your Electric Terrain, but it does stop priority moves like Fake Out. Alolan Ninetales brings in Aurora Veil, which will lower the attack of your opponents, give that Tapu Koko some extra survivability, and as a fun side note, with Alolan Ninetales bringing in the Hail, it allows you to break your opponent's Focus Sash. Yay! And Tapu Fini again overwrites your terrain, so you've got to be a little bit careful. One thing to note about Tapu Koko is that sometimes it's just played for the electric terrain to stop your Pokemon going to sleep, and sometimes it's just a fast, hard-hitting Pokemon, so it partners quite well with almost anything. One early partner that Tapu Koko had was Alolan Raichu. It makes perfect sense. Alolan Raichu's got the Surge Surfer ability that doubles its speed in electric terrain, and all of its electric type attacks get boosted by 50% in electric terrain. Popular partner early on, really fell out of favour. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much everything you need to know about Tapu Koko in VGC 2017. But if there's anything you think I missed or anything you want to say, chuck it down there in the comments. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the pod, you can do so at patreon.com/PTCGRadio. I love making these VGC 2017 videos, and I'm hoping you enjoy watching them, because I don't plan on them going anywhere anytime soon. But if there is a particular Pokemon you want me to have a look at, chuck it down in the comments. By far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.